Okay, fellow diamond painters, this is my second attempt. I hit the wrong button. So we'll start anew. This is Partners in Crime that I told you about yesterday. It is 5:23 a.m. It is the 30th. It is November, and it is 2023. Here is where I have begun my work along here. There are 56 colors. There are 4 ABs. And it is, I'll get this all together. I started on the 29th. As you can see, it's by Gary Patterson. It is a diamond art. And it is a 20 by 25 or a 51 centimeter by 64 centimeter. And I know it's no longer available. This is an older one, I suspect. I'd never seen it before. My daughter found it on a DAC. She happened to see it, she liked it, and she bought it. And I've had it for several months. And I think I showed it in one of my videos when I opened up different paintings. So my theme for my videos while I'm doing this painting is going to be about pets that I've owned, stories that, you know, happened while I had my pets. And we'll start with my first real pet that I had. So hang in there. I'm going to put you on pause, try to get you in the holder, and we'll see if we can get started here. So hang tight. Hope I don't lose you this time like I did the last time. So hang in. Be right back. Okay, I think I have you there. I hope you're not shaking. And let's see what happens here when I turn the light on. Once I can get it. And we'll see where we go from there. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to keep working on the cream color. 3865. It's a check mark. So we'll go from there. And sorry if you happen to hear my stomach growl. I haven't had breakfast yet. I usually, when I first wake up, I have my coffee first, and then I decide what I want for breakfast. So I know it's been a while since I've been here. We've had some really cold weather. I mean, really cold. The other day it hit about 16 degrees. I hope I'm not shaking you too much. I'm sorry. This is the holder I have, and you know, it's what I have to deal with. So excuse the shaking. So okay, let's get on with what I want to talk about. Well, first off, I want to say hello to everyone, and so glad you've come back. And I hope you don't get too bored, with some of the stuff I talk about. It's hard to come up with different things to talk about when you lead a very boring life. And mine's very, very boring. So, and our internet was up and down and up and down. And, it just, you're sitting there watching something, or you decide you want a video, and boom, it went out. I don't know if somebody slid into a pole and, or it was a few nights of the cable company reprogramming like they do. They redo things all the time, and they say, oh, it's maintenance. So anyway, my first pet Okay, when I was a kid, my mother had parakeets. Those were hers, and she'd have one at a time. If one passed away, she had another one. It was always like Petey, it was his name, and it'd be PD1 and PD2, and you know, they were nice parakeets. Um, it's what can you do with a parakeet? I don't know. But when I first got married, I was 18, lived in a small town, and I wanted to have a dog because, my husband would be working during the day and I was by myself, didn't have any children yet or anything, so I wanted to have a dog. The landlord said, yeah, you can have a dog. So I got a dog. I happened to we were on the highway coming back from visiting family and seen where someone had free puppies. And my ex kept saying, no, you don't want one of these, you don't want one of these. And, I want a puppy. So we ended up bringing him home. He was half German Shepherd and half Doberman. That's it. They had the mother and father right there. And I named him Wolf. And by the time he was about 6 months old, he was a big one. He was a big boy. And one day the landlord came over and he saw him and he said, well, I said you could have a dog. I just didn't say you could have a horse. I was really upset because he told me I had to get rid of him. And that, what was I going to do? I couldn't move from my apartment. That's what we could afford. That's all we had. So luckily, my ex's father, who at that time was superintendent of a hospital, had friends there that worked at the hospital that said they would take him. And I knew he'd have a good home, and he did. And I visited him a few times, and he remembered me every time I went to see him, but I really was upset. I think about him every day. I have pictures of him. And I mean, that was a lot of years ago, and I still think about him to this day, that I wished I'd have never had to gotten rid of him. But and about another, I think it was about another 4 to 6 months after that, I happened to see in a paper that somebody was giving away a Chihuahua. And I thought, well, that's a little bitty dog. Landlord can't be too upset with that. That's itty bitty. Oops. Oh, I'm going to. Here goes drills. So I hope we go. So I kept dialing the phone number, but all I kept getting was that number's not in service. The number's not in service. And I thought, well, it's in the newspaper, why isn't it? And so in the town that I lived in, when you could walk just about anywhere, you didn't need a car. It was a very teeny little town. So I walked over to the newspaper office and I showed him the ad and I said, this number that you've got on here, they gave you or something, says it's not in service and I can't get hold of them. And they looked it up and they said, oh, it's a misprint. Here's the number. We're going to have to correct it. And I said, well, just give me the number and I'm going to call the people. So I thought, oh, this is fate. I'm meant to get this dog. I'm hoping he's there. And I had to drive about 30 miles away from there. And there he was. He come running to the door, barking like crazy. And the lady was getting rid of him because she was elderly and he was only about 18 months old. She was elderly, and she just couldn't, and she had fallen, and she couldn't keep getting up to let him out all the time. So I brought him home. His name was Inky. That's the name she had given him, Inky, because he was white with black splotches and made it look like ink had been spilled on him. And I have pictures of him too. I wish I knew how to like insert photos. I should have had it ready and I could have shown you what he looked like. Maybe I'll do that on my next videos, is show a few photos. The first day I brought him home, the apartment we lived in was upstairs, and it had an open door at the end of the hallway that you could just stand there and look outside. You know, look out. It was an open balcony. It just had a there goes my furnace. It had a it was almost like a gate in front of it that looked almost like what was on your a design that would be on your screen door. And he was used to seeing the screen door, and that's where he would run to, you know, and jump at and whatever. And we were, you know, 2 flights up. I opened up the door of my apartment, and he went running out and straight out that gate and fell 2 stories. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to look out there and I'm going to find a dead dog, and I just brought him home. And I looked out there, and he's running around all over the place in the alley, and I'm calling for him, and he come right to me, and I took him to the vet. He was fine. He didn't hurt anything. I don't know if he landed on his feet. I don't know if he did. I mean, the vet checked him out. No broken bones, no internal injuries. And from that time on, I knew, leash on him before I even opened my apartment door to take him downstairs to go to the bathroom. Scared me crazy. We had him there at that apartment for at least another 8 months, and we moved because my husband at the time, we got a house. So it was just, you know, me, my son, my husband, and my little Chihuahua. And he was really so neat. I thought, well, I would, you know, would love to, you know, get into some kind of training with him or something. You know, I mean, he walked good on a leash. He wasn't, you know, he didn't really pull and carry on and stuff. But anyhow, my ex, he wanted a dog for himself, because apparently he felt Inky was wee little. He wasn't a man's dog, you know, type thing, or that he wasn't somebody that paid attention to him. So he saw an ad in the paper for an Irish setter that they were selling for, I think, I don't know, $50 or $60. I forget what the price was. She was under a year old, and they said she was a runner. You know, you had to make sure you controlled her, because she would want to, you know, take off. And we found that to be absolutely true. Her name was Carrie. That's what they named her. So he brought her home, and I don't know how many times she'd, you know, you'd open the door and out she'd go. You couldn't catch her. She'd take off, and she would just run like a bat out of hell. And by the time you got her, she'd have foam all over her mouth. I mean, people thought, oh my goodness, rabid dog. So we, did a long line on her all the time. And I thought, we thought we need some kind of training. We need to figure out how to train these dogs. So in the town that we were in, they had an all-breed training club, and it wasn't too expensive. And we thought, okay, he wants to, train her to at least for obedience. So we took her there, and I would take Inky with me just to, two dogs, he's going, I'm going. And I thought, well, heck, I can train Inky at home, from what he's learning for her. And so that's what I did. I started training Inky, and he wasn't registered or anything, so I couldn't put him in any obedience shows that they would have, because that's the one thing I wanted to do too. That's what my ex wanted to do, is go to dog shows and show her obedience like they do with so I told him, I said, I want another dog besides the one I have. I trained Inky, and he was doing really good, on and off leash. I mean, he was really good. And my ex was still having struggles with the Irish setter. She just was bananas. She was flighty as all get out. My ex ended up buying me a Sheltie puppy, Shetland sheepdog. Usually when someone says Shetland sheepdog, they're thinking of a big hairy sheepdog thing, unless they know their breeds and they call them Shelties. They look just like a miniature lassie. So he bought me one. Wasn't too expensive. Well, it was expensive for us. I mean, it was $75. That was a lot for us. But he got it for me. I named him Corky. And when he turned probably about 4 months old, three or 4 months old, I took him to the obedience school. And being he's a working breed, they're very easy to train. Very, very easy to train. So in the interim, though, he was, my ex was, still trying to work with Carrie. And back then, it's in the 70s, people were telling you different things and stuff, saying, well, if you breed her at least once, she'll calm down, blah, 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 blah. That's wrong, but we did that. And she had, we had a friend through the training club that had an Irish setter. She had 2 Irish setters, 2 males, beautiful Irish setters. The grandfather of those Irish setters was in the line, still in the lineage of the movie with the Irish setter called Big Red, and the book and everything. So they were beautiful Irish setters, gorgeous. And the one that I wanted to breed with Carrie, apparently he wasn't interested or something, I don't know. But anyway, the brother to him, she bred, and ended up having 9 puppies. The 9th one was born dead, though. And So we ended up having 8. We tried to save the 9th one. I tried breathing with it and warm water and all that, and she had it outside. We thought she was done after 8. She wanted to go out. We let her out, and she squatted and had the 9th one. But there was no saving that poor puppy. So she had 8. We sold all of them but one, because I kept telling my ex, I want to keep one. I want one of these puppies. And he said, no, we have enough dogs. You have 2, and I've got her, and no, we've got enough. I said, no, I want to keep one of those puppies. And we fought and argued over that. Well, a few times when someone would come to look at the last puppy, Carrie would sit on him and growl and not let anybody come near. And she was not a mean dog, but she would not let anybody come near him. And it just, in the whelping box, she knew someone was coming, and she would haul butt to the whelping box, and she would not let anybody get near. So as he got a little older, it was harder. Nobody wanted, they wanted a puppy, and he was getting gangly, and stuff, with the long legs and big feet and everything. So I told him, I said, we're keeping him. And I named him Blarney. And it was kind of weird that she had done that, because a few months after that, she got very sick. She got what they called bloat and torsion. Any dog that has a really deep chest, like an Irish Setter, or a Great Dane, a Doberman, even German Shepherds, if they have that elongated chest, their stomach can flip into their chest cavity. And bloat is one thing where they get a buildup of gas, and it, you can release that. But when it flips and then turns, what they call bloat and torsion, is when it flips and then it knots. It strangles itself. And she was out in the backyard, and she just collapsed, and we ran her to the vet. They did surgery, but she didn't make it. She didn't make it. That was in 1976. And I still had Blarney. My ex thought, okay, she must have wanted us to keep him, knowing something. You tell yourself all kinds of stuff. And so he thought, well, maybe he could work with him and train him and use him. He was very calm, very relaxed. He picked up everything you wanted him to do immediately. But he didn't seem to want to work with my ex. He wanted to work with me, and I don't know why. My friend of mine then said, well, he's a male. Male dogs, tend to go, I'm going to mess this up, tend to go more toward female owners and vice versa, So I ended up training both dogs, and I took Blarney to several dog shows. They start you out at 200 points, and you can lose points for crooked sitting or slow recall, when you call them to come to you from a distance, if it takes them longer to get there. And, it depends on, how they walk and all that stuff in obedience. And the lowest score he ever got out of 200 points in a practice one was 197.5, and his highest after that was 199.5. So he'd lose a half a point for maybe a crooked sit or something. And he was just fantastic. He was my big baby. I loved that dog. I miss him every day still. And I have photos of him. Maybe I'll show some of him. Beautiful coat on him, flowing. I mean, he was just gorgeous. He was a beautiful dog. He and Corky both passed away at about 10 years old. Blarney had, what had happened with him is he had come in the house one day after winter, and he come running up the steps and slid in the dining room and injured his hip, cracked his tailbone or something, and had him at the vet. They checked him. He had, he would get cortisone shots or whatever in his hips. But as he got older, it got into where he couldn't control his back legs. He would start, his back feet would flip, and he would be walking on the tops of his feet rather than on the bottoms. And I couldn't put him through that much pain. So I had to have him put to sleep. Corky ended up, his liver was failing at 10 years old. So it was like one right after the other because they were so close in age. And Inky was still around, but he ended up passing at 16 years old of heart failure. So after that, I had kitties for a while. I had one that was named Sheba, and really loved that cat. We were moving, she escaped, and I don't know what happened to her, and I feel so bad. We searched for weeks and weeks, going back to where we lived, and I never found her. Then I ended up with a Doberman because my new boyfriend at that time, because I had been divorced, I wanted a dog. We had cats, but I wanted a dog, and never had a Doberman. They were nice dogs. I didn't care what anybody said about them. And this guy had one he was selling for like $50. He just said, come and get her. She's outside, blah, blah, blah. She was a poor girl. She was skin and bones. And I went right up to her and, hugged her and everything. And she just sat there, and he said, you know what? She seems to like you and stuff. Just take her. He didn't even charge us. He said, take her. She was just a little over a year old. And I can get into stories about her later. I see I'm getting close to 30 minutes. and the other animals I've had, because I've had several more, believe me. Like I said, I hope you're not bored. It's, I used to go to so many dog shows, especially when I had Blarney and Corky. I did some dog shows uh, at our local mall. They had them inside our local mall. The other stories I could tell you then is when I used to take Corky, Blarney, and Inky, all three of them, and we would tour different schools. We would take all my equipment with me, and we'd entertain the kids. I can tell you about some of those that were a lot of fun. I even have photos. I have thank you notes from the class, from all the kids and stuff that enjoyed it. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing that. We used to travel all over going to dog shows, Indiana and different parts of Ohio, and it was, it was expensive for us then, but it's even more expensive now. I mean, I could not afford it now. I could barely afford it back then, but we did it because the dogs loved it. We loved it. Did it at fairgrounds, everything. So, okay, I think I've talked enough. And like I said, hopefully you're not bored. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. Very good. I hope, like I said, I didn't bore any of you. And I will try to get back with you in another couple days. I'm going to try and find my photo album that I have of some of my pets, and see if I can show you a few. Show you of Blarney and of Inky. I believe I have one of Corky. There's probably even a photo in there with me when I was way younger, with the 2 or 3 of them. So, well, have a good day. I hope the weather is what you want it to be where you're at, because it's not what I want it to be where I'm at. I like winter because I don't have to get out and mow grass and do a lot of traveling or anything. But I hate winter because now that I have the puppy, I have to constantly, out the door, out the door, out the door. We don't have a way to fence anything in. Or I'd open the door and go, here, go potty, and I'll come back in. And he hates it. He hates it. He looks at the snow and like, eh. And so he's picked one little spot where he wants to tinkle and poo. So he doesn't like walking through it. And I don't like summer because it's too hot and I got to mow grass. So I like the in-between, the fall, the spring and the fall. Those are my 2 favorites. So, well, hopefully this gets up fast enough so y'all can view it in the morning. And I'm going to have some breakfast. I think I'm going to have some almond cereal. I had oatmeal yesterday, so I think I'll have some almond cereal today and a piece of toast. So y'all have a good one. If I bored you, let me know, because it's what I talk about, the themes of it. That's what it is. So have a good one. Hugs to you all. Thank you for coming back. Hope you continue to show up. Comment, if you like what I'm doing, like it. you know. So, DP Crazy Lady, I'll get back with you again on another Whip and Sip. So, have a good one. Enjoy. Bye-bye.